welcome to the Meat and Potatoes podcast. Today we're joined by Carrie Hill, who is the founder of Chill Consulting Agency.
That's right.
I said that in a chill way, I hope.
You did. That sounded very chill.
Perfect.
I appreciate that.
We'll never be accused of being chill again. We've been talking a little bit before the cameras turned on. I think we'll have some fun with various broad topics in and around relating to the public.
Yeah.
But let's start with what is your background and ultimately like leading you to be the founder of the Chill Consulting Agency.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Garrett, for having me. First of all, it's really great to talk to you. And I love seeing you in social scenes, but I love being right here with you. So thank you so much. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
I think when we ask people what their origin stories are, we want to hear what they have overcome to become who they are, right? And so that question for me is pretty personal. I really started out early selling a baby product. I had 3 kids and I wanted to contribute to my family. And I found this incredible baby wrap way back in the day. And I called the company and said, I love this product. Can I sell it for you on the East Coast? And they said, yeah, let's try it. There was nobody else doing it. And so what I learned through the process of trying to sell this product was that I needed to tell a story about why this product was important. And so I started just organically to reach out to local media, which at the time was literally newspapers and magazines, right? We had maybe a blog or 2 out in the world, but it was really more of that mainstream publications. And I just started sharing the importance of baby wearing and the significance of what it could mean for moms and babies. And that seemed to really catch the eye of the public. And from there, it just snowballed into somebody found out I was doing that and asked me if I would do it for them. And pretty soon I found myself in this path. And somebody said, oh, so you're in public relations. Yes, I am, as I Google what public relations is, right? Yeah. And so through the course of, 15 years, I maintained 35 clients off and on. And I really taught myself how to become a publicist, literally through trial and error and just learning the journey myself. And I think what I want to share from that is how significant that was for me, Garrett, later in my life. When it would be required of me to go to work full time, to go back to work full time to support my family. And had I not leaned into those soft skills and that intuition, I would not have had a path to create an opportunity for me to go back to work full time in the corporate space. Yeah. And so, you focus a lot on entrepreneurship and businesses and what their journey has been. And for me, I think those soft skills are so important to pay attention to as you're kind of crafting who you are as you go through life. So,
yeah. So you're part of the reason why all of my kids had 7 baby wraps.
Well, you're welcome. Good stuff.
I never did master the art of putting them in that.
It's a thing. It takes some time for sure. Yeah, that's great.
I love that because, at least in my small, feeble brain, I think PR and publicist are for the big dogs and the folks that are like, I don't want to do this. Can we hire a professional? But it's probably a lot more advantageous for the smaller companies to have somebody. I always kind of view your industry as like really good cheerleaders and really good communicators, and the entrepreneur being like, I don't want to do any of this. But you're really good at it.
Yeah.
Am I right or wrong in thinking along those lines?
No, I think you're right. I think sometimes we put that, first of all, understanding what PR is. We were talking about that before we went on a little bit about what the differences are between PR and marketing. And I think over the course of our technological progression in the world, the lines have become really blurred about what that is. And we want to put PR in the marketing bucket. And they serve really different purposes. And so it doesn't matter really what stage of growth you're in. PR should always be an integral part of your brand because it really helps you understand what your message is, who you are, what your origin story is, and why it matters to other people. And if you go to market without that kind of information about yourself, you're going to constantly be trying to keep up and figure it out. And what that's going to do is elicit confusion within your market about who you are. And so doing a Google ad campaign is much more effective when you actually understand who you are and what you want to talk about and what niche you're serving. And so PR can really be helpful for that. And that really is for anybody. It can be solopreneurs, it can be small businesses to large businesses. I mean, all of the largest businesses in the world have a PR team, right, to do this work for them and craft them and give them the right words and the story. And so it's really, it really depends on how much you value that industry itself and what it can do for you.
Yeah. I have this weird, I guess it's a bit, like a comedy bit of the PR folks for General Electric, going back to like a 90-year-old and then one working in General Electric today and like every decade in between. Because even like a behemoth like that changes.
For sure.
Every couple of years and for sure decades. One might be like, oh man, we were hitting those washing machines and dryers hard. And the other one's like, what? No, it's jet engines.
Yeah. Yes.
And people love General Electric when I was there, and people are like, well, we had a rough go when I was there, type of thing. And you got to stay on top of relating to the public because it's not like a plug and play in one stop. It's a evolving thing.
For sure, yeah. And I think to my earlier point of just understanding what we always talk about what's your why, right? What is the motivation? But really, what really matters is what is it that you want other people to feel from you, regardless of how much you evolve, right? Because you can craft sentences and statements and beautiful things around the evolution of your brand or your product. But who you are at the core of your company should direct all of your messaging constantly. GM was never set up to be a linear company. They were always going to expand, right? They were always going to create new products. And so, but they've never come away from their tagline. They've never, right? They know exactly who they are in the market, and that message is what gets out to people.
Yeah.
So,
what do you do when there's clearly like some good entrepreneurs, good operators, good product, good all of that, but they don't actually know what they should be telling or communicating or branding.
Yeah.
They're just good at what they're good at, but they really haven't thought of what you're good at.
Yeah, it's a great question because I think, first of all, you have to understand what is available to you as a small business and an entrepreneur. What are all the avenues that you should be working in? And it's always a great idea to at least have an initial consultation with somebody that works in every department that you're going to build. You don't have to have it all built out, but eventually we're going to need a marketing team. What does that look like? Let's talk to somebody who can prepare us for that, right? We need somebody in public relations. Let's talk to them so we can structure our business around bringing that person in and that message. And so I think, number one, just being educated about all the different facets of business versus just the product and just the sales and just the lead gen. Those are all amazing things. But what is the meat and what is the reason that people are paying attention to you? Why are you sexy? Why do you matter? And so I really feel like for those early startup solopreneurs and small teams that are working at Kiln, don't forget that you are building the culture of your company right now. You're building every single avenue of growth right now. And so this is an imperative time to bring in all the facets that you can get your hands on and just learn about what it is that you need and then plan for it.
Yeah. Easier to do like today than kicking the can down the road.
Yeah.
Tomorrow and next week. Oh, we'll get to that.
Great.
But if you can have all that on the platform and kind of ingrained in people's brains, it makes the next month to 5 years a lot easier.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, because what happens is then you go to market with what you think you are.
Yeah.
And then you spend 2 years trying to catch up. Oh, that's not who we are. This is not who we are. Oh, we should have just brought somebody in to help us at the beginning, right? Which doesn't mean that it's all lost, right? You can always bring someone in. But yeah, if you have a really good consultant to work with you on on the whole picture, not just your finances, not just your licensing, your legal, all of those things, but really the bigger picture of how am I going to relate to people? How does this product solve the problem for regular people every single day that are not in tech?
Yeah.
You know, what are we doing? Who are we? And then let's really build a strong team around that.
Yeah. I love that. And then, but sometimes things go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like there's a specific group of PR folks that come in when that's happening. Do you work in that world or do you not work in that world?
Yeah, you know, I've been really lucky, Garrett, to work with amazing clients who they've not needed crisis PR. And crisis PR is its own specialty within the field. I can handle crisis PR, but I've been lucky that I haven't had to.
Yeah.
And really what you talk about are scandalous things, financial blunders, products go wrong. I mean, these are things that require an immediate response.
Yeah.
And so it's always good to be prepared for that avenue. Like, hey, if A happens, then we do B, and just have that, that pathway in place. But I have been really, really lucky to be the building instead of the retroactive response.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's easier to get out ahead of it than
Yeah.
walk around with a fire extinguisher.
But this is why it's important to bring somebody in on the ground floor, because, let's say that you're talking to your investors, you've got people out there that are promoting this product for you, and all of a sudden it just is like, it goes dead, right? It goes to market, nothing happens with it. And you've got people expecting things from you, they're looking for things from you. And so then what kind of statement do we craft to let our people know, hey, come back and visit us in 2 weeks when we've got some bugs worked out, right? Like you have to have those kind of prepared messages in case they happen. And so, yeah, bringing somebody in initially is going to be much easier to do that. Then you don't have to worry about that because you've got it ready to go.
Yeah. You as an entrepreneur, right? Like you don't do this for free. You've got a certain amount of new clients you can probably take in a year, I would assume. I don't know all the metrics and numbers, but how do you ultimately decide if it's a good fit? Because even if they're waving a suitcase of money at you, still might not be a good fit.
Yeah,
right?
I love that question because I think as entrepreneurs, we're really hungry to take the business. Yeah, we'll take it. We'll do it. Like, right?
Yeah.
And you have limited capacity. I was just talking to my friend the other day, and I said, sometimes I feel like a volunteer in my own life. I'm doing all of this incredible work and no one is compensating me for it. Yeah. because you're chasing that, right? And so I really, sometimes you have to stop and say, what is it that I'm really chasing? And why am I chasing anything, right? Entrepreneurship is, it can be a tough gig. And so when you're starting out, you kind of are in that fight or flight mode. It's like, I'll take what I can get because I have to pay the bills. And as you grow in experience and you start to understand the niches that you can work in, the kind of personality that you work well with, and you start to build a database of contacts within those verticals, you really do add value to yourself as you go down the road. And then you're not chasing. You're just saying, like, are we good partners? And so how I approach that, Garrett, is I sit down with each client. I offer a 90-minute consultation. And it literally is just a conversation. Let's just converse about what it is that you've got going on. Where are the holes? And let me intake that and think about that. And whether we move forward in a consultative space or I give you a plan that you can implement within your team, that's up to you. But we're going to talk through that. And if I'm not a good fit, I will let you know. Mm-hmm. I don't think I'm the best person for you, but you know who is? Let me go to my phone, right? And find that person. Mm-hmm. It takes a lot of self-awareness to be able to say to somebody, I'm not the best person for you.
Yeah.
And I think it's really nerve-wracking to do that when you're first starting out because you want to be everything to everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we'll all have battle scars of saying yes too often at the beginning. Mm-hmm. It's a tough impulse to overcome.
Yeah.
But with time and experience, we're like, nope, that is not the right fit.
Yeah. Well, and I think that just comes with knowing yourself better. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, you've probably had those moments too where you're just like, I tried that and this was not the best thing for it. It didn't. and it's not that everything, or it's not that the situation was disastrous. It just, something was not flowing, something was not working, and and you just learn. You just learn from it. So,
yeah. There's like 8 billion people on planet Earth, and a lot of them are doing really cool things. A lot of companies out there, a lot of industries, a lot of verticals. Do you have any that you find you enjoy more and you're better suited for right out of the gate?
yes, I love people doing good things in the world. So that would be a lot of people that could be my clients. I think I gravitate toward things that focus on lifestyle, positive psychology, mental health. I love these areas because they apply to every aspect of your life. And so I love to deal with a problem or a client that is holistically trying to make impact in every single part of life. And so whether that comes in the form of a nonprofit, or that comes in the form of a personal coach, or a small business, or a CEO, or a franchise owner, if you are a good person and you want to align with doing good things in the world, and you can see the bigger picture, the holistic picture, I want to work with you because you're my kind of people.
Yeah.
Right? And yeah.
A little bit easier.
Yeah.
You start speaking the same language right out of the gate.
That's right. Yeah.
The 90-minute consultation goes well, and you guys jive well, and they decide to bring you on. And how do you interact with them after that? Is it frequent, infrequent? What does it look like from your angle?
Yeah, I appreciate that question. Well, we were talking earlier about like all the people that pass away in the New Yorker, they get this beautiful, the publicist says, and so diving into that dynamic a little bit on the other side of the consultation is like, number one, are you a small business with a team? If you have team members that can implement a strategy and all you need is some direction, then we can work in that capacity. If you are a speaker, if you're a personal brand, if you're an expert in something and you want to get more awareness for your personal brand, I am going to be in your pocket all day long. That's what we're going to do. So if you speak, I speak. We have the same words. Yeah. Right? And so it really is, that's why people go to publicists, because they know they've traveled with them, they've written their articles for them, they've got them featured, they write their talking points, they get them ready for media, for the stage, to be on interviews. So you really do become almost a mirror of your client when you're in that space. Yeah. And so for me, the other side of the consultation just looks like, what is it that you need? And we'll go in that direction.
Yeah. Yeah. With that comes a little bit of pressure, right? Because like they might not be the publicist of the President of the United States or the DOD, but reporters will ask them questions and say, oh, the president doesn't believe in that, or the president won't be. Mm-hmm. There's got to be some moments where you're like, oh, I can't remember what
Yes.
I'm supposed to say right
yes. now. Yes, there's 100% those moments. And that's why you want to get a publicist that's really good on her feet. Yeah. Because if there is a gap, she's just going to fill it. She's going to keep going with it, right? Or he is just going to keep going with it. And you talk after and you say, okay, how do we pivot next time? Yeah. Right?
Yeah. But you've got to really be ingrained with the team and the company and the personalities even, right?
100%. So. Which is why it goes back to bringing that person in from the ground floor, because you want to build with them. They want to see that internal infrastructure. Sometimes when I come into a big client and I am asked to run their PR or be the relationship builder within their community, there is a little bit of that hesitation because I haven't been with them since the beginning of the process. Yeah. And so I'm sitting down and perhaps I'm curating pathways that they've already explored that I don't know that they've already explored that. So then we have to pause and we have to converse about that. And so for me, I love all of my clients, but it's definitely easier for both the publicist or the PR agency to come in with you at the ground floor.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure. I invited the late, great General Chuck Yeager to my wedding. And his publicist replied, she's like, how did you get this email? Yeah. So I was like pretty proud that I got that email. And she said, I did bring it up with the general, and he regretfully will not be able to make it. But it was like an actual response.
Yeah.
It wasn't some bot. Because he was like double booked.
Right. Right.
So in my
Imagine
mind,
the nerve.
if he wasn't double booked, he would have come, right?
Right.
I'm like, man, pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good little response there.
Yeah.
And
But but I love that, Garrett, because it's personalized. This is the benefit of having PR. I think we are in such a huge tech hub, and as much connection as we want to have, we don't. We're in our algorithms, and we're in our processes, and we're in our, how do we expand and make monetary, progress in this space. And when you come out of that, it's nice to have somebody on your team that can be that communications person.
Yeah.
You want that. You want that handwritten note that says, I'm so sorry we're not able to attend, but thank you so much for inviting us.
Yeah.
That goes a long way in building really good relationships. I like to send my media contacts, anybody that ever features a client, I like to send them a handwritten note for exactly that reason, because they gave me some time. And as you and I both know, time is the ultimate sacrifice, right? And so and it's the ultimate gift.
Yep.
And if you're taking time on your show to give it to me, that means something to me.
Yeah.
So
For sure. Yeah, the more robots take over and the people can easily discern, like, oh, well, that was a brush off.
Right.
And like R2D2 replied to
Right.
me. The old-fashioned stuff will even become more and more prominent and more useful.
Don't you think we're seeing a return to that
Yeah.
today? I feel like
Smart money's doing that.
Yeah, I feel like it's just all about turning that flashlight back out into the world and shining it on people. I think we're hungry for it, especially after COVID.
Yeah.
We're hungry for it.
Yeah.
And I think we've become a lot more selfish as a society going through that experience too.
Yeah. Yeah. Amen to that.
Yeah, yeah.
What does the future hold for you and your agency? You've got to kind of be nimble on your feet with as quickly as things change. But how are you going to keep building your brand, your company, and your clientele?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. It's a really good question. I think the greatest thing about being nimble and about being an entrepreneur is that you can pivot really quickly and you can find your way. You'll find the right client for you based on where you are and what's happening. And so I just say, the agency itself will grow organically based on who comes into my space. And the hope is that eventually it grows to be serving 30 clients instead of just 4 or 5 at a time, And so my hope is just that I continue to be invited on podcasts to talk about the importance and significance of public relations and what it can do for you. And then also just to be able to create connections that are meaningful so that people feel that every time they interact with me, there's value.
Yeah.
And that ultimately is my goal. And if you feel like there's value in somebody, you're going to try to find a way to work with that person.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Pretty basic common sense stuff we're talking about.
Easy
here.
stuff.
Yeah, easy. Fun to talk about, a little bit harder to implement, but if you mind your P's and Q's and you're actually genuine, it kind of comes to you.
Yeah, well, and I think for people that are starting out, if you don't mind, I share some pretty basic tips with people that are looking to just get off the ground in PR, and one of them is make sure that you have your origin story dialed down. If I were to ask you, Garrett, what is your story? You really have to put some time into that, right? To be able to tell me what that story is and what it looks like and why it's important. Like, what did your story do for you?
Yeah.
Right. So get really clear on your origin story. Whew, that was a hard word for a minute. And then number 2, make sure that you are collecting assets along the way. We don't think about the building part of a brand. So like whenever you have a meeting, take a picture, document what is going on in the process of your brand, because you can use that. That's content for social. It's content for a story. It's right. It will feed your narrative. And so collect information, make sure that you're documenting things, get your origin story down, and then also lean into free tools like Google Ads, Google keywords. You can plug that in and you can get you can set your alerts, and now all of a sudden you know exactly what your industry is talking about. You know how people are talking about your brand, and you can make adjustments based on that. And these are basic principles that you can do all along the way as you're curating yourself, so that you're not having to retroactively go and do that. Yeah. So the other thing is, get a digital media kit. People don't often think about that as they're building, but make sure that you've got a bio from your CEO. Make sure that you've got contact information. You've got a story in there, right? So,
yeah.
So just 4 tips that I think are really, really helpful for people as they're growing.
There you go. Price was free on that one.
Yeah, hey, you're welcome. I'll send you an invoice later.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Carrie, for taking the time to join us today. I always enjoy these conversations where it's kind of a solo entrepreneur interacting with lots of other entrepreneurs, and the confluence of that interaction. It's always fun to talk about.
Thanks, Garrett. Well, I would love to turn the mic on you sometime and talk to you. So that's the interviewer in me coming out.
There you go. When you want 0 downloads and 0 listens, we'll do that.
No, I don't believe it. That's why I'll be your publicist. We'll make it work.
Oh, yeah. I can at least get my mom theoretically.
That's right.
Maybe.
Yeah. Hey, moms like everything, right? On the face wall.
Yeah. There it is.
So, well, thank you so much for having me. It was really fun to talk to you. And I just want to also say really quickly that I do love operating in the nonprofit space. And I think there is a real path for corporations to figure out how to align with a nonprofit entity so that it becomes a full-blown partnership and not just a check that you write, right? Yeah. And there's a lot of PR that can happen in that space as well, to make sure that you're pairing with somebody. So as you are growing, another free tip that I'll invoice you for later. Make sure that you're aligning with entities that are doing really good things. Find your cause and make it an integral part of your brand from the get-go, and create that partnership with them as you grow, and exponentially both of you will grow, and you'll do some really amazing social good.
I love it. Thank you so much, Carrie.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.